Come learn what yoga poses to avoid if you have scoliosis. So yoga can help with overall general health and fitness in many, many different ways. And number one, it can help maintain flexibility of a person's body and joints. It can really help manage stress and anxiety through exercise and meditation and movement. It can reduce inflammation through stretching and movement of the body, improve balance. It can improve posture and really help increase strength. And so therefore, you would think that because of all these benefits, you would really think that yoga can really help reduce scoliosis. The problem is there's no form of exercise, even yoga, that should be attempted really without clearing it with your scoliosis provider. But as far as exercise, yoga on its own is not enough to correct or reduce scoliosis on a structural level. Now, scoliosis-specific yoga, when combined with other forms of proactive treatment, can really help augment the corrective results of scoliosis treatment if it's done correctly with the person's scoliosis in mind. How can scoliosis-specific yoga help? Well, it's not just the spine that's really just in charge of maintaining its normal alignments. We know there's muscles and tissues that also get deformed as a result of scoliosis. When scoliosis starts to develop as a response of the spinal alignment, we get a natural asymmetrical muscle tension, disc alignment, bone alignment, tissue alignment. So everything is being affected. So the spine surrounding muscles have to help support this asymmetrical spine. Scoliosis introduces uneven forces to the body, affecting the spine and the surrounding muscles and nerves. Well, yoga can help loosen these areas and help strengthen muscles, in addition to addressing the muscle imbalancement, which sometimes can help in pain management. In some cases, the scoliosis itself can be so stiff that even though the person is getting more flexible, their scoliosis isn't getting more flexible. They're compensating in other areas. Now, sometimes this can be a negative effect of doing yoga, meaning is because they can't move properly, and instead of moving where they should be moving, their scoliosis is so stiff that they become hypermobile in other areas. Now, hypermobility can be sometimes just as bad as having too much stiffness. So therefore, we're unknown. That's why we know yoga by itself shouldn't just be a scoliosis treatment. But yoga can help loosen some of these areas if the person still has mobility in that area. As scoliosis progresses, the spine becomes more and more rigid, making it less responsive to treatment. And if somebody's instructed how to properly recruit the areas of their scoliosis by performing certain yoga poses or movements, that can help assist. But if they're not, and they're just moving generally, and they're not given any specific yoga movements to help manage their scoliosis, sometimes they could be making areas, compensating in other areas, making them hyperflexible. So scoliosis can affect the surrounding muscle tissues, and these muscles struggle to support this unnaturally curved spine. And as muscles work harder, they become sore and strained and stiff. Muscle imbalance is one of the key things that we notice as a result of scoliosis, but muscle imbalance is normally as a result of the spinal asymmetry. Muscle imbalance is not the cause of the scoliosis, it's a result of the scoliosis. Very often yoga is practiced symmetrically with somebody who recommends very specific scoliosis yoga or helps a patient learn this. They may learn some asymmetrical movements to deal with the asymmetrical effects that scoliosis can have on a scoliosis. Symmetrical movements are beneficial, but they're normally only beneficial if it's done to help recruit wherever the asymmetry is occurring for that person's specific scoliosis, So the yoga can't be practiced like anybody else's yoga. So what are some global helpful yoga poses that could be beneficial for scoliosis? Well, side plank tends to be the most common one people tend to work with because it has an asymmetrical strengthening of the spine, meaning when you side plank on the left or you side plank on the right, you're asymmetrically contracting muscles to help stabilize your spinal cord, dealing with the little muscles that are connected to the spine. Downward dog tends to be a very helpful spinal lengthener to help counteract compression, mostly of the lumbar spine. So downward dog tends to be a very popular pose that tends to be generally recommended for patients with scoliosis. Mountain pose promotes very good posture, helps balance, help increase core strength. So these three tend to be the top three that are mostly recommended for general yoga poses for scoliosis. What are some that are generally harmful? cobra, anything that involves a backward or hyperextension of the spine can be something negative associated with scoliosis, because in most scoliosis patients, we see a very flat mid-back and we see a hyperextended lumbar spine associated with their scoliosis. So anything that accentuates that movement would not be recommended. The triangle is something that involves unnatural bending the rib cage, and especially if you're bending into that scoliosis, it can exacerbate the issue. And shoulder stand is something that bends the cervical spine in a very sharp angle and puts a lot of pressure and compression into the upper thoracic spine. It's something that we normally don't recommend in yoga. So, and understanding that yoga itself can be a beneficial form of exercise. We know that no yoga pose or no form of exercise on itself can impact scoliosis on a structural level, meaning make the curve smaller. When scoliosis-specific yoga or exercise is integrated into a proactive treatment model, like using therapy and exercises and corrective bracing and scoliosis rehabilitation, it can help increase core strength and help keep the spine loose and flexible to help some of these treatments become more responsive. But this is normally only achieved when somebody can train the patient how to recruit these specific areas of their specific scoliosis with specific yoga. So a lot of things have to happen in order for the person to get the benefit of yoga in a very scoliosis-specific manner. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this information helpful. If you'd like to hear about other topics and information on scoliosis, type in the comments below and let us know. And finally, subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of when we publish content. Thanks.